Hey there, YouTube friends. Want to give you a couple updates about the Model T delivery car. Been working on this just for a couple months. No, I haven't had an update, but it's just been some small little pieces, things I've been working on. I'd like to show you a few of those things. First of all, was able to get all the rest of the metal trim finished up on the back doors. So I got those all done. They look fantastic, and I'm really pleased with how everything turned out, and just the overlapping there of the piece that holds that other door shut, and all my gaps look fantastic, so I'm really pleased with that. Second thing is I did two of my pieces for the steam bending the other day, and the purpose of that was when I took this body apart to get all the staining done, I found that the wood moved a little bit, so I had to square everything back up, and so I wanted to get the two end pieces on there to make sure everything was square with the roof. And so I did the steam bending yesterday, and it turned out fantastic. Just the way that that wood was able to bend. I was really pleased with it. So I'm gonna have quite a few more pieces to do. This is the jig that I made up, and I'll show you how this goes up here. It just slides right in there. So it gives me all the spacing for each one of my slats. So in between each one of these, I'll have to do the rest of the slats there. So it's gonna be a lot of steam bending, probably a good day of that to get all that done, but I'll be really looking forward to that. Another thing that I've been working on is, this is just a little fantasy piece. I've been contemplating kind of updating some of the step plates that Ford would have had on here. They would have just been a metal plate. There would have been no script on them or anything like that. But I wanted to possibly extend that up, going up to that area there. So been working on doing something like that. And of course they would be made out of brass. So I'm contemplating that, been working on some of those things. And as you can see, this is like a little step plate, a sill plate, and so I would just make it all like that. Of course, the Ford wouldn't be there, it would be along there. So again, that's just it's not original, just a little fantasy piece, but we'll see how that looks and goes. So just really pleased with how everything's turning out. And okay, we're about ready to take out a piece here. We'll put another piece in, and then I'll form it here on the jig here. kind of slow. You got to get it past that. There we go. Oops, popping out on me. Okay, gotta get it in there. There we go. Okay, now we'll start pulling this around. Just gotta keep some pressure on it. As we pull it down, it'll start to bend around that curve there. There we go. Yeah. Okay, then once we get it in there, put a clamp on it. Clamps on to secure it. Okay, and then we'll just let that cool up here for, I don't know, a good 10 minutes or so, and then we'll pull it out of the jig and then we can put it on top of the delivery car. Okay, I've had this in the form for probably a good, I don't know, about 10-12 minutes or so. So that just lets it set up a little bit. So I'm going to take this out of the form and then I'm going to put it there on top of the delivery car. And you'll see as I take this off how much spring back you have, but it's still a little flexible, and then that'll allow us to get it right there where we need it on the top of the delivery car. So as you can see, that kind of gives us the overall shape of the roof line. Then I'll put it up here and we'll get them all on. Just gonna put a couple clamps on it just to kind of hold it in place, and then I'll get it where it needs to go. Now I'll use my jig, stick this on here, get it lined up. Also, while the other piece is cooking in the steamer, you have time, just enough time to get the rest of this put on. As we work our way to the back here, the top of the delivery car starts to bow on the towards the back, and that's so that way the water will shed on the top. So our jig no longer stays exactly straight across. It wants to kind of curve up a little bit. So you just got to kind of work from one side to one side. Now we gotta straighten these slats out here towards the rear because they're really wanting to move in. So this is why the jig is really handy for this, just to keep everything where it needs to be. Screw it. Okay, I got my last two pieces. One is in the steamer right now, and one's on the clamping table. So I'll be pulling that off here in about 5 or 6 minutes. And as you can see, just got 2 more pieces left to do. I went ahead and cut these off, just flush with a little saw. So got those taken care of. See if we can get to see what it looks like there from underneath. Let me give you a picture here up at the top. So you can see how curves down as you get towards the back there, and up here it's just really straight. But of course any rainwater would drain here or back and then down off either side there. So just got these last 2 pieces to do, and we'll be done with the roof slats, and then I'll do a final trim on the ones on the very back, because those got to be trimmed off on the edge, and then we'll start pulling these off in batches and sanding them, do any final sanding on them, then we'll stain them and then varnish them and then reassemble them here on the top. Okay, this is the last piece. I'm going to be pulling it out of the steamer. I'm going to pop it here on the jig. We'll get it all bent up, and once it cools we'll put that last one on top of the roof there. All right, so as soon as this cools up here, we'll pop it up there. Okay, here's the last piece coming in. Now that we're down to, just these last few pieces, last one, I'm no longer using that long comb jig. So now I'm just using a little spacer here, and I'll put it right between the pieces and get everything spaced out where it needs to. Once you get past these first few, then it's kind of held down and not fighting it as much, trying to keep it spaced. On the steam bending jig, you actually over bend the pieces primarily because there's so much spring back. But I noticed even putting the pieces on, as they're cooling, they're still a little bit flexible, so you can kind of really get them into shape exactly where you wanted them. So you kind of have to do that to a few of them. Last 3 screws here. When I was cutting these slats, because I got 1x6s, and then I ripped them because I had to have the grain running out, so straight. So when doing that, I noticed when I was ripping it through my table saw that some of them were, you know, a little tight, the grain, and so it caused the pieces to want to bow a little bit. So this one right here that I'm working on, I can see that it had bowed out a little bit, so I have to kind of push it over. That way you can get a straighten it up a little bit. Okay, last one. Here it is, right here on the end. In total, I think there is about almost 300 screws here on the top. So figure if you got 27 slats, 10 screws a piece, 270, plus the ones on the end, I put a lot more than 10 just because it was a really tight curve there. So yeah, almost 300 screws there. This is about all that I have left in the box. So, not too many. All right, we'll cut off the front piece up there. Okay, let's cut this last piece off here. There we have it. Okay, so I just got to cut the ones on the back side, and after I cut those, then we'll start taking them off and staining them and varnishing them and putting them back on. Let me show you some of the material that will be going on top. So this is a cotton batting, and I went with a off-white color. I think that looks a little bit more natural, maybe a little bit more authentic to the period. So the cotton batting will get put on course, it's just a sample piece. That'll get put on first. And let me grab my piece of duck cloth. So this is the duck cloth. This is just a sample as well. I'm going to be using a number 10 duck canvas, and it's I don't know if you can see the weave on that, but it's a really tight weave. And originally it would have just been a duck canvas, but it would have been the tan colored, and then they would have dyed the canvas and almost kind of like painted it on, and that's kind of what really waterproofed it. So I'm not going to be doing a painted on canvas because with that you have to keep maintenance on it. You got to dye it every so often and things like that. So I went ahead and found this that's already black, so you don't have to continually dye it or paint it or anything like that. So that'll go on top of the cotton batting, and of course that'll just get stretched right around. And for anybody that's worked in the RV factory, you may know that on RVs, when they put the top on, they just stretch it over the roof line there, and then they put a piece of trim. So not much has changed in the past 100 years, evidently. 100 plus years, but that's how that is. And there's just a piece of quarter round trim that comes down that acts as a drip edge, so that'll just come down on top of that. So that'll just be stuck on top of there. So that's my plan, and then I may end up doing a dressing on top of this, which is just a wax that you just wax the canvas. Then it really makes it waterproof. But that's what they would have used back then. Okay, so we'll do another update here when we start getting all these pulled off and varnished and all of that. So thanks for watching.